And there it is, man. Straight like that. Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. You know the vibes. If you woke up this morning, you already won. I hope you're doing something right now that your future self will thank you for. I'm Earl of Pearl. That's the homie Tyvis Powell. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, man. And I got off work, you know what I'm saying? Trying to have a wonderful day. I gotta get my shots in my knees later today. So,
Ooh.
that's gonna have me back. I was hooping yesterday, you know what I'm saying? And I had a moment, Earl, where I relapsed a little bit. And I feel kind of bad about it today, waking up this morning. I shouldn't have did this. So so yesterday, last night I'm hooping, and the guy I'm checking, he's a shooter. He like Steph Curry. He like to run around screens and all those things, catch it, and then shoot off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And at this moment, we like 4 or 5 games in, and this is my last game. I didn't play like 5 games. This is my last one. So I'm a little tired of like chasing them around and stuff and going around all these picks. So I made the announcement. I said, the next person that tries to set a pick on me, I'm not going around it. I'm running straight through you. I'm just telling you right now, I'm running straight through you. Come right down. Next possession, somebody set a pick. I ran straight through the guy. Now the guy was coughing and like was about to throw up because I like ran straight through it. You remember Kobe ran through Paul Gasol? It was like that. It was just like that. It was that moment.
Like that tone-setting moment. First play of the game type stuff.
Yeah. But the point of it was I was tired of people setting screens. Guess how many screens I got after that? Guess how many I faced?
0.
Exactly. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's great. That's what I wanted. So I started checking the dude 94 feet and all that because I knew nobody was going to screen for him and all that. And I completely took him out of the game. I think I did this wonderful thing. I came home and I expressed to my wife what I had just done. And she said that I am wrong. It's 2 left shoes, and that's why nobody want to play with me. And you take it way too serious. And all those things. So she like completely shot my balloon down. So like now I feel bad.
So you came home like most men do. You want your woman to be proud of you. You want to like be the man. And she kind of was like, "What? Like what? You came in here talking about you being aggressive."
Made me feel like I ain't nothing. Like I'm just the worst person in the world.
Let you know women change. And see, when we was in our 20s, if you came with that type of behavior, you know what I'm saying, they'll be impressed by it. They get a little older, they want subtle and
I'm wrong. So like now I feel bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's been on my mind this morning, is trying to deal with that.
There it is, man. Y'all let us know in the chat, man. Should Tyvis feel bad or should he just keep it business as usual, man? Sometimes you got to let them know what it is and what it ain't. We got a stacked show for y'all later on in the show. We'll talk about Evan Mobley, Kobe Altman, and Kenny Atkinson spoke to the media yesterday. Tyvis to get into the showdown in Detroit, the matchup inside the matchup, and we'll start with the Cleveland Guardians as we wake up today, tied for first place. A couple programming notes. 1, like, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. 2, by the time you see this at 5 p.m., we will be getting ready for game 2 of this series, hopefully, if the weather holds up. But let's get into it, bro. We woke up in first place. Fun stat for the people to know. From April 23rd to September 23rd, which is a total of 5 months, the Detroit Tigers had sole possession of first place. That is not the case. Not only that, we own the tiebreaker. So one more win against the Detroit Tigers in this series, and then a win after that, as Bull kind of put it together. It looked good for us right now, man. Do you think that we can take this surge all the way into October and make some noise come to playoffs?
I think that right now, baseball is funny because baseball is about what team gets hot at the right moment. And you always want to do it towards the end of the season. And the Guardians got hot. They're the hot team right now. And Detroit is doing an all-time choke job. That's just what it is, So I think that, I think the way that both teams are playing, the Guardians should take advantage of this because I think the Guardians understand what's at stake. Everybody jumped off the bandwagon. We was 15 and a half down in the middle of July or something like that. And now to be where they are, everybody gave up on them. So they just continue to keep their head down and keep grinding. You know what I'm saying? The pitching got outstanding. It was so many times that over the course of the season, we talked about Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams and how they're not taking the next step, how they not finishing games. Gavin Williams has some good pitching outings, but then he'd have some bad ones. And then Tanner Bybee will start off good, but not finish his. Then there's like give up like 3 or 4 home runs and stuff like that. You'd be like, dude, what's going on? And then obviously with the Ortiz and the Clase stuff, it just seemed like this whole thing was just bad. Like it just went bad real quick, you know. And I think that what happened was these guys it takes is one like good victory. You know what I'm saying? They get one victory and then they started stacking them back to back. And just out of nowhere, this team just started to believe, and they just played with so much confidence that it put them in the position of where they are now, you know. So you're going back to last night. I mean, I think Detroit had all the pressure on them, to be honest with you.
I agree with that.
Because of the fact that they've been on this historical choke job. They've been doing that, but they tried to end it by putting Skubal out there. Skubal is arguably the best pitcher in the league. You know what I'm saying? And for them, if you beat Skubal, like that take all the win out there. Like, what are we supposed to do? Like, you're our best pitcher. Y'all just hit our best pitcher out of the game. So I think that them winning last night was big. It set the tone. I expect them to go ahead and just finish it out because Detroit really don't have – I mean, they're still fighting for that wild card spot. Like, they can't – if they go all the way bad and lose out the whole wild card, it would be a shame. So I think those guys will continue to fight there. But the Guardians kind of took their soul last night, in my personal opinion.
Who was that interview R. Kelly did it with? One of Gail Sayers. He was up here like, man, I'm fighting for my life.
Yeah.
That's how the Detroit Tigers is right now. Man, the Tigers have lost 7 straight games, losers of 10 of their last 11. I talked to Al Paslowski on the radio over this past weekend, and he kind of highlighted, since July, the Detroit Tigers have been spiraling out of control, and you kind of like laid it out perfectly. Momentum in baseball is a real thing. And it's one of those situations to where if you get hot at the right time, it really don't matter what your payroll is. All you need to be doing is playing quality baseball when it matters to most, and you can beat anybody. So it's kind of crazy because we talk a lot about baseball needing a salary cap and a salary floor to kind of make things more competitive. But on the other side of that coin, it is one of those rare sports to where you can have a stacked roster, and if you're not pitching or hitting at the right time of the year, it don't matter how much your payroll is. You can get beat by anybody. And so to see this team kind of climb back into it, I was wrong, and I'm a Cleveland fan, and I'm very reactionary. I tend to get emotional in the moment. I was kind of like all over the case of Stephen Vogt. I heard Bull talking about everybody in the front office needs to be fired. So in my mind, like, if Bull talking that talk, like we must be on or something. And you look at it, man, 15 and a half back, it's easy to say, yeah, ain't no way the Guardians gonna make the playoffs. But I think we are always reminded that the Guardians really mimic the image of this city more than a lot of these teams. When you talk about like being gritty or back against the wall, or people always counting us out, and we continuously show like it really ain't over until it's really over. And the Guardians is a prime example of that this year. If you look at every single thing that they went through.
No, for sure. I mean, I think I said that on our regular show one time. I had wore all Guardians gear, and I was saying like the reason that I relate to them the most is because they are more like the Cleveland. If you grow up in Cleveland, like you ain't got a lot, you don't get a lot, but you got to make the most out of what you got. Yeah. And that's kind of what the Guardians do. It's just crazy because this is the same team that was one couple wins away from the World Series last year. And then the offseason that they had where they got rid of a bunch of people, nobody expected this. Everybody was like, why are they blowing up the roster? Like, what's going on? And this is just another one of those situations that they believed in certain guys on their roster, and those guys are coming through for them right now in the most clutch times of the season. So, you got to give credit where credit's due with Stephen Vogt and that front office, because they have a vision that nobody can really see. They the only ones that see it. Obviously, they with the guys every day, so they see the capabilities of these guys. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes as fan to just think that the front office, because there's so many other sports where front office try to sell you on something, and you like, no, I know what my eyes is seeing. But with the Guardians, for some odd reason, our eyes be lying to us a lot of the times, and the front office be right. So this is like one of those situations where that's the case. Now, we ain't lying on the sticks part, because last night they won in true Guardians fashion. I don't think they hit any home runs. There was a lot of singles, doubles, and errors in the field, and Scooble throwing it between the legs, all that stuff. So they won it in true Guardians fashion by playing guards balls. They still need the sticks, but I'm just to celebrate the fact that they really pulled this thing off. It's not done yet. Job's not finished, as Kobe would say, but it's looking really good.
No, big facts. You talk about that 6th inning, man. I think the 2 runs that they manufactured to tie the game up, the ball never left the infield.
I know, bro.
if that ain't typical Cleveland Guardians baseball, I don't know what it is, man. Gavin Williams had 12 Ks last night. The Guardians as a team struck out 19. Speaking of that 6th inning, man, we got to send prayers up to David Fry, man. He was hit in the face by a 99-mile-per-hour fastball as he was trying to attempt a bunt. And we talk about that 6th inning, how exciting it was. You watched the game like I did, man. The crowd was going crazy as the Guardians got back into the game. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, it was dead silence throughout Progressive Field. For me personally, it's one of the scariest things I think I've ever seen during a sporting event, man. Like, that was tough to see. A couple news outlets, Yahoo, CNN, even reported that he spent the night in the hospital. Of course, hopefully, as we get updates throughout the day and throughout the evening, we'll share them with y'all. But prayers up to David Fry, because that was scary.
Yeah, man. Anytime you talking about a head injury and stuff like that, a 99 fastball straight to the face, like, obviously that's not what you want. It's not ideal. He was in a lot of pain on that ground too. So hopefully, everything comes back and, he's good. Maybe he might've got a concussion. Could be. I wouldn't be shocked by that, but hopefully it's not something that's long-term that, messes his mind or his mental space and things like that. So yeah, definitely prayers out to David Fry. Everybody know that was one of my guys last year. I love David Fry last year. Obviously, he's a pivotal piece playing that DH role this year. Has made some big plays in some big spots. You think about last year against the Yankees, or not the Yankees. Who did they play? I can't remember who they played in the playoffs, but it was when John Kinsey hit the home run and then David Fry hit the game winner. So, like, he's played some really good ball and made some big plays in big spots. Hopefully, he can come back in this lineup and it's not something long-term that keeps him out.
So Guardians play today, second game of the 3-game series against the Detroit Tigers. It's supposed to be a lot of rain in the forecast, but if they get that game in, this is the pitching matchup that we will have for today. Tanner Bybee is coming off 2 solid starts. You look at the line in this game, the Guardians are actually underdogs. They got the over-under at 7.5. That game will be on Guardians TV today at 6:40 p.m. Tyvis, if we play, do we win today and take sole possession of first place in the AL Central?
I think so. I think that first of all, the way that they're playing, you'd be crazy not to think that they wouldn't, right? Tanner Bybee also is playing really well. And Jack Flaherty, I don't know what's going on with Jack Flaherty. I feel like last year before he was really good. I want to say he was with the Dodgers. Right? I can't remember who he was with.
I think he got traded to the Dodgers, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, he was good. He was solid. But, like, this year, he has not been that good. Compared to what he usually be. So I think that they definitely can hit him around, especially if them bats is clicking like they've been doing. I think we see a home run tonight too, if they get the game in.
There it is, man. Cleveland Guardians tied for first place with the Detroit Tigers. Game 2 of that series is set to take place tonight at 6:40. The Guardians do hold a tiebreaker over the Detroit Tigers. Coming up next, man, we dive into the matchup inside the matchup this weekend when the Cleveland Browns travel to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. But first, we got to hear from FanDuel and let you know that the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I'm going to say that again. If your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I use FanDuel. I like to bet the anytime touchdowns, anytime. Sometimes I'm hot, sometimes I'm not. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Place your first $5 bet, win $300. FanDuel. All right, brother. So you came. This is a Dr. Dre type situation. I like to call it where you produce and host a segment that you kind of like came up with or put together, and you wanted to go inside the matchup and talk about the Cleveland Browns DBs up against the Detroit Lions pass catchers. I think before we go forward, it's good to go back a little bit. We both watched Detroit on Monday night against the Baltimore Ravens, and got to give them credit. Outside of that first game against Green Bay, that offense has been humming. And, you know, they lost both their coordinators, but it seems like that Jared Goff has stepped in and just made sure that the timing with everything got back to where it needed to be, and they were still executing at a high level. You know, I heard on a broadcast that, you know, their head coach, Dan Campbell, was always in on those meetings. And so when those coordinators moved on, most notably the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, a lot of people were skeptical of what the Detroit Lions offense will look like. Kind of got off to a slow start, but the last two games, man, them dudes has been humming. You look at the Cleveland Browns defense, I think it's the best unit in the NFL. I'm pretty sure you agree with that. Most national people think it's the best unit in the NFL, and it's dominated by our front seven. We know that. But our DBs is in for a real test this weekend when you go up against St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and the tight end Sam LaPorta, who can create mismatches on safeties and linebackers at any given moment.
Yeah, I think that those three names, they cause problems. They give fits, you know, and as good as they've played, you know, there's been moments that, you know, over the careers that, you know, games have kind of gotten away in the secondary, you know, and I think that pass rush is going to be pivotal because that pass rush covers up a lot of things. This game, to me, is put on that D line. They have to find a way to get home. You think about this last game against Baltimore for Detroit, I thought they did a really good job of bullying Baltimore. Like they ran the ball as like did whatever they wanted to do. And then they got very creative in some of the plays that they called outside of the run game, but it all stemmed from them being able to run the football. So that front seven got to come ready to play. Just how they got Josh Jacobs out of the game, it's the same thing they got to do with, you know, what they call them, Knuckles and Knuckles and Tail, whatever the heck, Sonic and Knuckles or whatever the heck they going by. They got to find a way to get those two guys out as well. Got to keep those guys under wrap. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is the speed guy. David Montgomery is the more physical guy. So this will be a big test for the front seven. But when we want to talk about the secondary, I think the matchups as far as who guys are guarding is going to be kind of interesting to me because typically you want your best corner checking their best receiver. So in this situation, you would want Denzel on Amon-Ra St. Brown. However, the problem with that is Amon-Ra St. Brown does a lot of work out of the slot, and that is not a place that Denzel is comfortable with. I wouldn't say he can't do it. He's not comfortable doing that. So honestly, in this game, I think it might be smarter for them to have Gnu kick down inside. So they've been running Gnu on the outside, Denzel on the outside, and Miles Harden or Cam Mitchell in the slot. If they run that and just play sides, they're going to go to Amon-Ra St. Brown all day long on whoever they got in the slot. So I think this is one of those games that they actually have to use Gnu's versatility, which is good for him because now this is a guy that's on a contract year. This is a guy who's trying to make money. This is a guy who can show versatility. I think this is the game that he slides down to the slot when Amon-Ra St. Brown is in the slot and plays man or whatever the case may be on him in the slot. Because I'm not saying Miles Harden can't do it. I just don't trust him to do it. I think that he would be the guy that they would circle and they would go after. And I think if you go up against an experienced offense like this, they will find a way to be successful at doing that. So this is a big Gnu game. On the outside, on the other side, I would match speed with speed. J-Mo is not going to burn Denzel. So like that's not going to be the case. So I think that's the great matchup. But then you talk about Sam LaPorta dicing things up in the middle and doing the things he do. That's a Delpit moment. Delpit obviously showed you how smart he is. He had the great pick that changed the game last week. He needs to continue to build on that momentum. I think Delpit is as good as any safety that can play tight ends man to man. He's really good at checking guys. He should be able to handle Sam LaPorta. But ultimately, it comes down to that front seven getting the pass rush on Jared Goff.
So do you think it should be a lot of man-to-man? Do you think they kind of should like mix and match coverages? And then once they see what Detroit is doing on offense, because Detroit does use a lot of pre-snap motion to kind of throw the defense off. Once Jim Schwartz see the chess match that's going on early, how do you think the in-game adjustments should go?
So honestly, it really comes down to if you play man when you want tight coverage because you want the front seven to get home. You're sending blitzes and things like that. I know a lot of people run blitzes out of a zone, but the problem with that is if it gets picked up, you got guys that know how to sit inside zones. You know what I'm saying? So I think that this game should start off doing what they do, or you play man to man, and if they do motions, guys got to get on their horse. I broke down the was it Cam Mitchell or it was Miles Harden against Baltimore where he jogged over there and they messed up that whole thing, and Devontae Walker ended up scoring the touchdown on the 7 cut. If they're going to run a lot of motions, like I said, they're probably going to run it with Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's more G News speed because he's played inside of there. He knows the tempo of motions and he knows to get down and get set. I think as the game goes on, you have to throw Jared Goff a little bit off by sprinkling in some zone. I know we're not really good at zone because our communication is still not where it's supposed to be after I just said it for 4 years, but that's another story there. But I think that with the guys that they have, I'm comfortable playing man-to-man, but I just don't think you want to play man-to-man 70 snaps a game. I've never been a fan of that. I've played in a game where we've done that before, and I was not a huge fan of that. Yes, it clears up confusion and all those things, but it really is really taxing on your body. So you have to sprinkle in some of those zones, but that's something that you make at halftime. You make that adjustment at halftime because now you have, by the time halftime hits, we understand what the offense is trying to do. We have seen exactly what their game plan is. So now you can make the adjustments to be like, all right, if they come back to this, because you got the guy that's sitting up in the box, he sees everything. He sees who's open. So when somebody's open, say that Amon-Ra St. Brown was open on a play, but I don't know, the pressure got to Jared Goff and he couldn't get the ball to him. They circle that play. The offense and defense both in the box circle that play because they know that's a play that's going to come back in the second half of this game. We can get that. It was open. We're going to set it up, and we're going to come back to that. So now when you go make those adjustments at halftime, you make sure you throw this play up on the board and say they're definitely coming back to this play. So when you see this, make sure that we're able to play it. That's where you make the adjustments, and that's where you could play. All right, we was playing man in that. We could take it away by just playing cover 2, or we could take that away by playing cover 3. So that's when you make those type of adjustments. That's why they call it a chess move.
We talk about the Browns front 7. In my opinion, when you look at the Detroit Lions offensive line, I think this is going to be the toughest test so far this season for that front 7. How do you think, in the trenches, how do you think that matchup is going to play out and who gets the edge?
I think that is probably going to be an even stale. It's going to be a stalemate. I think that they're going to create some seams. I mean, that's just naturally, this is literally one of the best offensive lines in the league. They're going to create some seams, but we're going to make plays as well. I think that ultimately it comes down to how much of the run game is being effective. Like if they create these scenes and they're gashing us, see, now that messes up the mentality of our defense because it's like they're gashing us. So now we got to be a little more aggressive on the run game. Now you're setting up play action and all the trickery stuff that they do. So it's imperative that their front 7 finds a way to stay stout. With Malik Collins, especially Malik Collins and Mason Graham, they've been doing a tremendous job in that run game. Our linebackers, Devin Bush and Carson Schlesinger, has been incredible filling those gaps. We need a lot of that. Those guys have to do that because if they don't, it's going to make it very hard when they start play action and when that passing attack comes alive.
It's Wednesday before we move on. It's only Wednesday. You might wake up Sunday feeling different, but right now today, how you feel about the game? Like as far as who you think will win?
Right now, I got Detroit winning because our offense is not. Because Detroit you have to be able to put points up on the board, and as good as our defense is, I feel like it's only so much. You want to hold them. For us to win this game that we won against the Packers, we had to hold them to 10 points. You're talking about a team that averages 34 points a game. And we average 15. Like that's a major problem. They get to 21, it's going to be hard to come back from there with the way our offense is playing. So I think that right now, the way I'm feeling, I got Detroit winning this game.
Yeah, same here. I think the defensive effort will be there. I got to see more on the offense before I kind of go ahead and pick them and win another game. I think last week was one of those examples that this defense is good enough they might be able to win you a few games on their own. But Detroit is going to be at home. That offense is explosive. And, when you can match Imano as far as, okay, our defensive line is good, their offensive line is good, but their defensive line is good too. Our offensive line, not so good. So the challenges is going to be there, man. But I can't wait to see the game like any other team in Cleveland. You never know with the Cleveland Browns. They might surprise us. We got one more segment to get to, but before we get to that, it's a good time to let you know, man, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Hit that like button. Make sure that hit the little bell too, so you could be a notification for all the spinoff shows like the Ultimate 216 Show, where it's either me and Tyvis or me and Cecil Schwartz, the Ultimate Cavs Show, the Ultimate Guardian Show, and the Ultimate Brown Show with OG Big Bro G Bush. So make sure you tapped into everything that's going on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show channel. So yesterday, McNuggets was not present. He was in Independence when Kenny Atkinson and Kobe Altman spoke to the media. Players Media Day is this upcoming Monday. Me, Jason, and Mike will be in the building. But Kobe and Kenny kind of had some interesting things to say as we kind of get ready to kick off this new season. Before we get into what I thought was the most interesting part of it, just a couple things that Kenny Atkinson said. He said that they're coming in with some renewed energy. He believes that this team has an identity and that they're not going to reinvent the wheel. He also said that just because we as fans and people in the media know, okay, the goal is to get to the NBA Finals and win the championship, and we won all those games last year and we had the early exit, the Cleveland Cavaliers are not taking a lax approach to this regular season. They plan on coming out, foot the gas with the same type of energy, and they believe internally they have learned a lot. Kobe talked about his approach to this offseason when it came to like acquisitions. He said the priority was to really just double down on what they have, players that was already here on the roster. He said that the goal was to keep internally growing the players that was on the team, and he was excited about the internal growth. When he talked about Evan Mobley, to me, this is where things really, really got interesting. Kenny said, of course, with Darius Garland not being available at the start of the season, that you can expect to see Evan kind of bringing the ball up way more than you did at certain points last year. He talked about using him more on the elbows, and he said that he was locked in and serious about taking that leap to become a top 5 player. Kobe Altman even mentioned that he was the guy who hosted that organized workout in LA where most of his teammates showed up and participated in. He talked to how Evan has been in Cleveland since early September. He used words like leader and tenacious, and describing Evan Mobley, he talked about his maturity. The question for this segment is simple. Like, will Evan Mobley elevate himself to a top 5 player in the NBA this season?
I think that the way we've seen him grow year one under Kenny Atkinson makes me believe that he can do that, because it was night and day. I mean, he played with so much confidence last year. We always talked about how he needed to develop that outside jumper, and he did. We talked about how he needed to have a move where he get the ball and he be able to make a move and get to the basket. He absolutely did. So to think that right now, what's the one thing that can make him better is handling the rock, being able to bring the rock up like Bam Adebayo, maybe like a Jokic, be able to bring the ball up and dish the rock, make plays like that. Well, it's funny how life works, because now that Darius is out, it gives him the perfect time, and it's early in the season. It's perfect timing for him to be able to do these things, to find out if he can be effective in it. And I think that he will be. I think that they will simplify that offense enough for him, because I think he's got a decent handle. I know we don't see him handle the rock a lot.
I think it's better than decent.
Yeah. When he got the rock, like, I'm not worried about somebody plucking it. Like, I don't think that'd be the case with him. So, and I seen some videos of him this offseason, going through the drills with the ball, handling the rock. And I was like, okay, he got a nice little tight dribble. So to me, I think that he will be a top 5 player. It's really becoming inevitable with him. He's the defensive thing. He had that to begin with. He had to really work on his offensive game, and we seen that come alive last year. Now you telling me the only thing left for him to do is be a playmaker as well? I think he got that in his bag too. So, because him and Jared Allen had that big to big thing going on, so he's got some playmaking ability in his bag. I believe that he will become a top 5 player in this league. It's exactly what they need to do for them to get to that championship. And the one thing that you said out of Kenny's the one takeaway that you took out of Kenny's thing was that there's a more seriousness with Evan. So that's big to me, because when you look at this Cavs team, I know that they win a lot of games, but nobody takes it as serious as Donovan to me. Like Donovan, and Donovan has earned the right to be where he is because he's achieved a lot of stuff in this league. He's seen as one of the best players. You know, he's been on playoff runs and things like that. But like the one thing that's missing from him is championship, being in the championship, you know, making it past the second round or something like that. I don't think he's ever made it past the second round. So like he's extremely motivated by that, while these younger guys are still trying to get contracts, or they're still trying to be all NBA and stuff like that. So to hear that Evan has a little more seriousness in his approach, okay, maybe he's taking it as serious as Donovan, to where it's like, I don't care what it is, we have to win. Like I don't care how we get it done. I don't care if I average 2 points. I don't care if I have to get 50 points, whatever it is, I'm trying to win. Like if he's got that attitude, that's the one thing that he was missing out of his game, out of anything, was not the physical traits. It was his mentality. Everybody looked at him as he was passive. He wasn't aggressive enough. Well, if he's serious, if he's more serious about his craft and he's putting all his work, it's going to show up on the court to where he's more serious on the court and he's more aggressive on the court. And that will propel him to be a top 5 player for sure.
You know, they say that you really don't develop your full brain capacity until you're about 24 years old. Like when you can mature and really comprehend on how you should move is around the age of 24 years old. And, you know, he's 24 years old now. And before even now, he seemed like he was always a little bit more mature than others for his age. And it just seems like in totality, he's stepping into his calling, and life is about answering a call. We've seen the call been put out there by Kenny Atkinson and Kobe Altman and Donovan Mitchell, but it don't mean a damn thing if Evan himself is not really to answer the call and maximize his potential. And everything that he has said, and you know, he don't say a lot. So everything that he said and everything he's done from the time that Game 5 ended against the Indiana Pacers to now shows that he's very, very serious about his craft, that he realizes his own potential. And when you have success, knowing that you haven't really unlocked every single tool that you have, it kind of makes you hungrier and it makes you more motivated to go out there and be like, you know what? I got the opportunity to be that dude. I got the opportunity to be one of those cats that at the end of the season, consistently year in and year out, we're talking about him as an MVP candidate, like we do Giannis, like we do Joker. And you know, Kobe Altman said it. We go as far as Evan Mobley goes. He said that during that press conference yesterday. We go as he go. And I think everybody in that organization knows that. He knows that. And if Evan Mobley is really ready to step up and answer the bell and become one of those top 5 players in the NBA, then it's very realistic that in the 10-year anniversary of the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the NBA championship, that we can be hoisting that trophy yet again. I don't think it's far-fetched because, you know, they mentioned it yesterday. The Cavaliers are one of those 4 to 6 teams in the NBA that got a realistic shot of winning the NBA championship. And me and you both know, whether it be from being born and raised in this inner city or just the ups and downs of life, man, it's something about humility that kind of like brings a certain type of honor that kind of revs that motor up for redemption. It's something about falling short, not getting the job done, or just being humiliated or embarrassed that kind of turn you up on another level. It's part of the maturation process. And I don't know a team that's more embarrassed than the Cleveland Cavaliers when you win as many games as you won. You start the season the way that you started, and you are pretty much one of the most dominant teams in the league all season long, just to kind of get booted in the second round when everybody really expected you to.
So well, the injuries plays a huge part of it. At the end of the day, they got to be healthy. I know people said that people ain't gonna pay attention to the season, but we are. Like we are. Now that it's getting closer here, I think they start preseason next week. Yeah. So like now that it's here, and they start regular season games towards the end of October. It'll be exciting. I expect to see Unc down there doing his stuff, still cheering on 1-0 and 2-0 and all of those things. So it's still gonna be turned up. They're gonna be fine. Can't wait to see Lonzo though. I want to see what Lonzo do because he be threading that needle. So I want to see some dimes out there being dropped. So I'm excited to see the Cavs.
Big facts, man. Hopefully, man, you hear more about Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance. Mike was there. We got the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show that will air before you see this. So I'm pretty sure you will hear that conversation. Before we get up out of here, any final thoughts from you?
I started this off talking about how my wife told me that I was wrong. And I want to say that you do need a good woman. Every man needs a good woman in their life, to balance you out. Because in life, obviously, it's a lot of stuff you go to where you got to be tough, you got to be hard, and all these things. And you do need a woman to balance you out. And I would say that I am a better person because of my wife. Because for me, if it was just me, I wouldn't care. I would have did what I did yesterday and wouldn't have thought nothing about it. So it's good that I got that person in my corner to keep me balanced and tell me when I'm taking it too far.
Hey, that's a good word, man. Hey, that's a final thought for you. My final thought for the day, man, I just want to wish my dad a happy heavenly birthday. Today is my father's birthday. Of course, my dad is no longer here with us. And, I'm doing everything in my power to keep a smile on my face, to keep my energy high. The reality of it is, man, when you have a deceased parent, that emotional roller coaster that you go through, it hits you minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, month to month, year to year. And on days like today, man, I am maturing and realizing that instead of kind of grieving what I lost, I'd rather have a nice drink and thank God for what I had, for the teacher I had, for the hero I had, and reminisce on some of my best memories, man. To me, bro, my father was the coolest man I ever knew. I ain't really grow up trying to be like one of these athletes. I wanted to be like my dad. My dad was my hero. My dad used to rock the finger wave. He had the silk shirts. He had the gold chains. He had a nice cars. He used to have his nickname Chemo C stitched in all his seats. He'd be playing the old school riding through the hood real slow. He had one of those car horns when you hit it. It had the long play out to it. And you already know, when me and you was young, you knew where the players played. They was in EC at Tucker's, and they used to be at Gordon Park. And fast forward, every time I used to just be a kid riding, and my dad would pull up in Tucker's where all the players was at, it put me in a mindset of that scene from Paid in Full.
Yeah, that's exactly where I went when you said it.
Yeah, so shout out to my dad, man. I never say rest in peace. I always say long live Chemo. Say long live Chemo C. I love you and I miss you, man. Thanks to y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. Remember, be great, spread love. Being great come with a price. Spread love is priceless. Till next week, we out of here. Peace.